Hello Power Rangers Lightning Collection fans, and welcome back to Lightning Storm, the series where lightning always strikes twice whenever there is Power Rangers Lightning Collection news to talk about. And there really isn't that much, so it's been a couple weeks since I've done an episode. The last time I did one was before Hasbro PulseCon 2023. Then PulseCon 2023 happened, and it was okay. About it. And there's really still not that much news to talk about, but during my live stream reaction I just was not in the mood to do a recap of it, and it has been 2 weeks since that, so we're not really going to do much of a recap of it here today. It's kind of pointless, but we're going to just kind of talk about sort of post-PulseCon, where we're at with the Lightning Collection and what we got going forward. So let's get this moving, because the Star Wars team is probably like, let's get on to Star Wars.
The Star Wars team is like, come on guys, let's get to Star Wars.
Alright, so first up for this week here, we have some shipping soon notifications from Hasbro Pulse for the remaining members of the Remastered Mighty Morphin team. So, these have been out for a very long time. I don't even remember when I first talked about them being released somewhere in the world. They've even been out in the US, kind of. Like, Pink was just, like, in stock on GameStop. Honestly, I don't really feel like a lot of people really cared, because MMPR Pink has already been released so abundantly in the line already, so I don't see Remastered Pink selling all that well, but Hasbro Pulse has sent out those "we're shipping these soon" emails, and the release dates of them on Pulse have changed from the same kind of December, January kind of thing to October 10th, which is this upcoming Tuesday, which makes sense because that's usually kind of when Pulse gets new shipments in and starts sending out items. It seems to usually be on Tuesdays. Now they've also reopened the pre-orders for Red and for Green, so if you didn't get a chance to pick those ones up, because they did sell out in a couple different places, you do have an opportunity to get them on Pulse and in like 3 days. So if you want to get them and you're ready for that financially, you can do so. I will be including my Amazon affiliate links to them in the description below, just like I had when they were first revealed, if you still want to hold out for Amazon on those. But if you're waiting for the Remaster team to be fully complete, looks like it's going to be right around the corner. Alright, and then for those who didn't see Hasbro PulseCon, all we got during the event was 2 items, which I'm sure you've already seen already. We got the Omega Ranger 4-pack, which I definitely need to review. I need to review both of these things. And we got the Master Morpher, finally, which I also need to review. So, 2 fantastic items, and PulseCon went kind of about exactly how I expected. These items went about exactly how I expected, kind of, but it had the classic cases of miscommunication, wrong information being stated, which has happened for PulseCon for Power Rangers in the past, in the same kind of capacity actually. So if you remember back in 2021, it was actually kind of the opposite of what happened in 2021, where they said, hey, that Pudgy Pig, he's just going to be in stock after the show. It's not going to be a pre-order. And then it was a pre-order. But for both of these things, they said that they were going to be pre-orders, and they were just in stock. So, which, I mean, technically this one was like a little bit more true, because they had one batch of these, or like some sort of batch of these, that lasted only a little bit after 5 o'clock for the everybody non-premium members. The Morpher went first. The Omegas lasted a little longer, I think, to like the next day. But these are now both, well, this one was not anymore, but these were both back up for pre-order for November 1st. The Omegas still are, so if you'd like to get the Omega Rangers, you can. There'll be a link to them in the description. The Master Morpher has sold out in its 2nd shipment. Hopefully it will get a 3rd one. It kind of seemed like they might be doing another shipment of them. They did an unboxing video that they posted on the Pulse social medias of Jenna Frank, JDF's daughter, unboxing one, and they kind of said, stay tuned for free restock updates and everything. I mean, they'd be kind of foolish to not do another one of this thing. This thing has already become incredibly popular, and it was significantly cheaper than I was expecting. I kept telling everybody, expect $100, and it ended up being $65. Which is not what I was expecting. Well, that was a great welcome surprise. The Omegas ended up being $100, which is exactly what I would have expected for this, because, it's 4 Lightning Collection figures. It had to have been $100, but I was totally expecting these to each be $100. And I'm glad that I was able to get both of them, and I will be reviewing both of them very, very soon. The Omegas won the poll, so I'm going to get to that one first. But basically, PulseCon, people have been complaining about it. They've been making jokes about Emily's comments, basically when it got to the Selfie Series segment, which was the only piece of, like, non-leaked news, kind of. I had told you guys to probably expect that we would get the Selfie Series convention sleeve that they showed at Comic-Con released to the public during PulseCon, and that is what happened to a point, but it's a different sleeve, so now I have 2 sleeves to try to track down for Selfie Series alongside those stands. But when Emily got to that part, she was like, yeah, I'm hearing that the Star Wars team's probably like, come on, move on to Star Wars. And it was just kind of a very sort of, and I know she kind of was doing it in like a playful tone, and shout out to Emily for being on like 4 different brands changing outfits every single time for Magic and for Dungeons and Dragons and G.I. Joe and everything. Huge dedication there, but it just kind of felt sort of like, yeah, but like you said, it was only going to be a 20-minute panel. It was a 21. It ended up being about 21 minutes. Transformers went overtime, so that wasn't Power Rangers' fault. So we didn't have to rush through it. Star Wars could wait. I wanted to see what we had for Power Rangers, and it's like, you know, for what I kind of anticipate to sort of be our last hurrah for the Lightning Collection for a good amount of time, I would have liked a little bit more fanfare to it, so a little bit more, you know, oomph to it, right? They did do that fantastic segment where they talked about donating to the Jed Foundation for suicide prevention and mental health awareness, which I thought was a great thing for them to do in relation to revealing the Master Morpher. They were very respectful with that. And the Omegas, I think they actually did a really good job focusing on those in comparison to, like, sometimes they just kind of brush past things. And due to the fact they only had 2 things to show, I think they did a great job taking, you know, probably about 13, 14 of those 20 minutes to show off these 2 items. That was fantastic. Now, they did also focus on the Super 7 Ultimates Wave 5, which those are not Lightning Collection figures. I should probably do a video on them, especially since I work with Super 7 on certain things. Be sure to check out that Halloween video the other day. But this is a fantastic wave. It's probably one of my favorite waves that they've ever done. It might even be my favorite, because I like black and gold repaints. I think the glow in the dark is kind of cool, and Bulk and Skull have never had a figure. But if there's any indication that my reporting on the Lightning Collection winding down, taking a break, hiatus, whatever you want to call it, was true, is that they've never focused on Super 7 Ultimates before. Now, that could be because Wave 4 ended up getting canceled for the most part because they didn't hit enough orders. But this is the first wave of Ultimates to not only be on Hasbro Pulse, but to be focused on in a fan stream and especially a PulseCon. And this makes the first PulseCon ever where we didn't get a wave reveal because we've had that the last 3 years in a row. And I was kind of expecting and hoping for that comic wave that I've been hearing about to happen during the PulseCon event. But since it didn't, I'm kind of now doubting if it's even going to actually happen in the first place, or at this point, basically. Now, kind of in continuation with the post-PulseCon things, that's hard to say, post-PulseCon, there is the potential possibility that they haven't announced it yet, but I'm kind of expecting the Hasbro Pulse 1027 event to return yet again. They've done that the last couple years. It's a coin toss on how this goes for Power Rangers, because there's been 2 of those events so far. The first one was when Zane infamously just went up on Walgreens with no warning, so that was terrible. They didn't announce him then. They totally should have. And then last year is when we got Pam and Jordan announcing Deluxe Wave 3, which was in Space Silver, ironically enough again, and Blue Centurion. So that was a year ago. That was a successful 1027 in my opinion. And the thing is like, they haven't even announced the event yet. I guess this year it'd be on a Friday, and that's kind of like when PulseCon happens and stuff. So they could do a 1027 event again, where, you know, it's just like a small little live stream. It's kind of like a mini PulseCon. I would not be surprised if they do it again, but will there be anything for Power Rangers? Maybe. Like, there's still technically the up in the air. Like, at this point, the only things left that are up in the air is the Yellow Ranger helmet and those comic figures, because Zap Tigerzord is the only thing that I heard is probably definitely not happening. The comic figures I've heard could happen, or probably happen, or were planned, and the Yellow Ranger helmet seems to be the furthest along of the 3 things that I had heard. However, I had heard recently from one of my sources that it hadn't made it to the stage where they saw a box of it, and if that's the case, then it might not have made it all the way to full production, or it might not even be happening either. So we're in this weird thing that, since now that we got the 2 big elephants in the room out of the way, the things that I've leaked this entire year and I've talked about for multiple months. You know, it was always Omega's and Master Morpher, Omega's and Master Morpher. I talked about these things for such a long time, and now that we have them, all that's left might not even happen at all. So we could be in the hiatus right now, until it ends, or we could still get those last couple things. But if anything, and of course the other elephant in the room I should probably talk about is the HasLab. Since they did confirm that there's going to be a Transformers 1 in 2024, and that one's not next, it's also possible that a 1027 could potentially hint at or lead to a HasLab announcement for Power Rangers. They have announced a HasLab at 1027 before. I think that's when they announced the Proton Pack a couple years ago. So, like, it is definitely possible that we could still get the HasLab. I think that is honestly kind of the most likely thing, because I kind of even heard, and I think I said this in some of my videos over the summer, but I kind of heard that the whole point of the hiatus in the first place, or part of it, is possibly to make a HasLab try to be more successful. If there's less things to buy, maybe people will back a HasLab. So it's an interesting time now, because now that we're in October here, and PulseCon has happened, and I said this was going to happen, that after PulseCon things were really going to dry up. It ended up going just a little bit differently than I expected, because I was expecting to see the Yellow Ranger helmets or those comic figures if they were going to happen, and maybe even the HasLab at PulseCon, and we didn't. and now 1027 is probably the last chance that we have to see them, if any of those things are actually happening. They were all in development at some point. I didn't make them up, but I just don't know if they're going to actually happen. Kind of like Zap Tigerzord, where that leaked to us, and now it looks like it's not going to. So, for now, these are the last 2 main Lightning Collection items. I think if this is the way that we go into the hiatus and we go out for a long time, it is going out with, spoiler for my reviews, some of the best items we've ever had with Lightning Collection. This 4-pack is absolutely gorgeous. I adore it. This has some weird phrases in it, but it is very pretty, super reflective, and it really means a lot to me that we finally have a toy of this. And I'm very happy that I was able to get one. And hopefully they open up more pre-orders of it for people who weren't able to get it. But that is where we're at with the Power Rangers Lightning Collection. And I would say this is pretty much a pretty safe bet that this is probably the last episode of Lightning Storm for a good amount of time. I kept talking about Lightning Aftermath and how it needs to come back and how it was supposed to come back a couple weeks ago and everything. It definitely will be coming back very soon. That will be taking over, maybe not every single Saturday, but we'll see how this goes. And hopefully Lightning Storm can come back in some capacity. Maybe we'll have a 1027 event coverage in a couple weeks if that ends up happening. But for now, there's really not going to be much else for us to talk about. But before I wrap it up here this week, you might have noticed it this entire time, and I'm very excited at the end of this episode here to launch something that I've been working on. I was actually going to launch it during PulseCon weekend, but it didn't arrive in time. It was so close. Like it only arrived like the day after PulseCon. I was like, no. But, you know, spite's a funny thing. So I have created a new shirt design. So this is I made this. So I drew this original artwork of what I'm calling the PowermorRangers team. And this is sort of a celebration of all of Hasbro's greatest hits with the Lightning Collection. So I drew Ace Squad Pink holding her, you know, corrected helmet, because that was a whole thing. I have Dinah Thunder White without a visor trim. That Izzy with the arms swapped around and the face missing. And Mighty Morphin Red, because that helmet was pretty bad. MMPR Yellow has her entire neck joint snapped. And Time Force Blue's legs snapped off because it's super loose and wobbly and a terrible figure. And of course, to bring it all together, I figured, what better to call this team than what Hasbro called the brand itself on Power Rangers Day, PowermorRangers. And since that was a tweet to launch a really dumb, bad t-shirt, I'm launching a really dumb, bad t-shirt, although it's kind of cool. So, but yeah, I've been getting back into drawing to kind of help with my depression, basically, and to kind of also give me something to do that isn't, you know, sulking around. So I decided, let's make something fun out of it. So when I got my wisdom teeth out a couple weeks ago, I needed something to do, so I made a t-shirt. So if you'd like to get one of your own PowermorRangers t-shirts, you can get it in tie-dye like I do here, or a bunch of different colors and on a bunch of different items, pillows, stickers, phone cases, anything you want. It will be available on TeePublic, and I think there's like a little sale for it when it goes live this weekend here. So there will be a link to that in the description below for you to pick up your very own PowermorRangers t-shirt. And if you do, be sure to tag me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or at LightningFigPR, since it is technically Lightning Collection related. I will be posting stuff about it there on that Lightning account. So I'd love to see if anybody picks them up for any particular reason, or if nobody does, at least I have one that I can wear in videos because I'm pretty proud of this. So get your Powermore t-shirt today, link in the description below. Alright, and with that is going to do it for this week's episode of Lightning Storm. What a time. So let me know down in the comments below, did you get the Omega Ranger set or the Master Morpher? Both of them, neither of them. Like I said, I'm going to be reviewing them here pretty soon, even though tons of people already have, but I'm going to give my own thoughts on them here pretty soon. And that's going to do it. So of course, until next time, you guys can follow me on Twitter at LivingRangerKey or at LightningFigPR, and I'll see you all on Lightning Storm. The series for Lightning always strikes twice. To wrap up this video, I'd like to thank my $5 and above patrons: Jurassic Samurai, Maggot Alchemist, Robert Browning, Static Thunder, Brendan Overland, Maji Yellow, MCPC Studios, Comics 1017, James Darty, Eric Berry, Tyler Bezetsky, Matthew Thorne, Josh Landry, Pyramidas, CPT Tesla, Cross SCV, Caboose Ed, Socket Monsters, Daniel Pika, Hella Geo, Thrasher, Jesus Prime, Uni Warrior Thomas, Louis Carnes, and Carlos Alfredo. You can support Toku Topics for as little as $1 a month on my Patreon, linked in the description below.